Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second lecture of this lecture series. So now in this lecture, we'll do two things. First of all, we'll learn about the definition of economics from the traditional Chinese culture's perspective. Now, the study of economics serves people, as we know, and people is a very complex topic. I think you would agree with me on that. So economics is related to a number of other social sciences as well. So all in all, as we will see in today's lecture, economics is related to three social sciences, namely sociology, politics, and ethics. So whenever that we talk about economic policy being made, we need to bear in mind that there will be multidimensional consequences in human society. So that's the first task. Now, the second task of this lecture is to understand the relationship between economics and sociology. And we'll discuss politics and ethics in later lectures. Okay, so what is economics? Now, to explain the immediate purpose of economic life, the Chinese refer to economics as the administration of wealth. Okay, the administration of wealth. I think this is a correct description because economics is about the allocation of wealth between economic agents concerned with the production and consumption. The word wealth in Chinese is pronounced cai. Okay, so some of you may know that Mandarin has 4 tones, so it is in fact the second tone which goes up, but anyway, it sounds very similar to cai. Okay, but it's not limited to monetary form though, but includes all kinds of resources such as real estate, capital, and so on. So that is wealth. So the administration of wealth or administering wealth in Chinese refers to all aspects of economic life, and it echoes the word economics in English. The definition of economics first appears in the Book of Changes, in the Appendix 2, and it says, "That which enables men to live collectively is wealth. Administering wealth, formulating rules, and prohibiting the people from doing wrong, this is called justice." Now, this is an important sentence because not only does it explain the essence of economic life, but also reveals the relation between economics and other social sciences, or let's say other aspects of human life. So let's closely examine this definition. Okay, let's look at that. It says, "That which enables men to live collectively is wealth." So from here we can say that I think the ancient Chinese believed that the object of administering wealth is men, and not a dog or a dragon, but men, right? And I think all modern people would agree with that. And further, we need to ask just exactly which aspect of man leads to administration of wealth. Now, according to this sentence, we know that it is for the purpose of living together. So the ultimate function of wealth is to support the collective living of men. Now, some of you may argue that, well, people who live on their own in the wild, like Bear Grylls, right? also need to think about capital of food and resources, right, and optimize their usage. Well, you're quite right. In fact, there is a lot of economic analysis on the individual person's, or at the individual person's level. For example, how to best allocate food supply during the day, right, is a real question. Personal financial planning, economic choices, such as would you drive extra miles to save £20 on a £40 pair of jeans, or £9,000 flat screen TV? It's a very interesting behavioral economics question, by the way. But then the question is, who is going to supply you with a TV? And just how many actual people living like that, living like lone wolves these days? So I suppose before people decide to leave the society and live on their own, they will have to purchase tents and surviving tools from B&Q, or if you're in the US, and other things, Home Depot, right? And find a nice pair of shoes from Timberland. Get the last haircut from the barbershop, and then you travel to Dartmoor National Park, the final destination of freedom, on a first-class Western train, by the way. So, and all of these depend on the work of other people. So, despite of certain outliers, the motivation of administering wealth or economic study is to improve the collective living of men. Besides, living together as a group hugely increase their chance of survival. Also, this definition shows us the fundamental guiding principle of economic management, which is the principle of justice. So the implied definition of economic is that economics is the science of administering wealth according to the principle of justice, for the sake of men who live collectively. We'll discuss the practical meaning of justice in much more detail in a series of lectures. Now, as I said before, the definition of economics in the Book of Changes also illuminates the relationship between economic life and other aspects of human life. For example, the fact that we have to deal with the whole body of man means that economics is very close to sociology. Meanwhile, formulating rules refers to ethical life, and this includes the unwritten rules as well, or the code of best conduct, such as the 5 human relations. And you can find the definition of these relations on the website. Okay. Now, again, ethical life is very relevant because we simply cannot administer wealth in society if we do not know what is right and what is wrong. So the way to formulate these rules is through moral teaching under the concept of education, ethics, and religion. So we must first learn to distinguish right and wrong. Likewise, we also cannot administer wealth without prohibiting the people from doing wrong. And this is done by written laws and regulations through the channel of political organizations, and therefore this is political life. Well, in fact, economics, ethics, and politics, they're all part of the science of justice, and they form a single group. So what does that mean? Well, because they are one entity, in theory, there's very little need to ask the question, as to which one is more important. And as you can see, without rules and ethics, economic management falls apart. And without regulatory body and law, economic management is impossible. However, if we look at it from the point of view of evolution of society and the way that we live our lives, we can probably say that economics comes first. Why? Well, the reason is, unless you have achieved the level of mental realization like the Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Mohandas Gandhi, Confucius, or other great sages, unless you do that, then if we cannot maintain our basic economic need, we don't really care to formulate rules, and morality becomes secondary. And likewise, we also do not fear the prohibition of wrongdoing if we can barely survive. So this has great implication in the distribution policy, which we'll again discuss in much more detail during this course. So anyway, for the common people, like you and I, economic life comes before the other two. Therefore, the appendix, which is a definition, tells us not only the connection of economics with other sciences, but also the relatively higher importance of economics. But I must emphasize again, though, and I don't want to mislead you to think that ethics and law are not important. For the sages, they indeed put ethics before personal survival. In fact, people like the Venerable Master Chin Kung gave a perfect living example of such a man. I remember that when the Master just became a young Buddhist monk in his early 20s, he had absolutely no money at all, no property, and no secure long-term accommodation, but he donated every penny he had, and all he was thinking about was the well-being of mankind and how to save this world. Now, back to our discussion. Since economic life must be satisfied before ethics and politics can function well for the common people, Confucius recognized that this should also be reflected in the setting of government objectives. And this is the focus of the second video.